Okay. So welcome to the December Alumnae Chapel Talk. If everyone wouldn't mind going on mute, except for Claire, so she keeps herself in our speaker box. Lindsay, do you wanna introduce Claire?
Yeah, sure. So, are we ready to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, awesome. Well, our speaker tonight is Claire Evans, and she's a member of the Hill class of 2006. And after Hill, she attended Cornell undergrad and Penn for her master's, and that's where she began using yoga as a tool for stress relief and movement. And then in 2019, she received her teacher training and certification in yoga, and now teaches alignment-based public and private vinyasa style and restorative yoga classes from a body neutral lens, which is so awesome. And tonight she's going to speak a little about some of yoga's unexpected benefits and how it can apply to all aspects of your life, and then also lead a little restorative yoga demonstration. So thank you so much, Claire. We're so excited for tonight.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, fellow Hill students. I'm so happy to be here with you. I very quickly want to say that I'm teaching with my headphones in, which is new to me. So if ever my audio gets weird or drops out, please let me know. Hi, everybody. I'm really grateful that you're all here with me tonight. Tonight's going to be a brief overview of some of the limbs of yoga. I'll get into that and how they relate to my practice of yoga on the mat and also off the mat in the ways I try to live yoga in my everyday life. Not that yoga on the mat is not real life, of course. So we're going to do that. It's going to be maybe like 15 minutes or so of that. And then we're going to get into a short restorative yoga practice. So we have to like eat our broccoli first for my majority people who are still here with me. But we'll get to some release and relaxation very soon. Before I launch in, I want to very quickly acknowledge whose land I am on here in Philadelphia and the land that the Hill School sits on as unceded Lenni Lenape land. I found this information on nativeland.ca, and I encourage you to find out whose land that you're on. Indigenous people are not just a part of our history, they are a part of our current moment, and hopefully will become even more important, they should be a larger and more respected part of our future. I also want to acknowledge the lineage of yoga teachers from ancient India and other regions of Asia and Africa who brought this practice to the present moment and to us here today, and to my teachers who are too numerous to count, but I will shout out some of them: Alex Holmes, Ashley Triba, Corina Benner, Lindsay Gitlitz, Colleen Kropp, Sophie Duar, and Adriana Adele, many others who continue to lead me in their words and deeds on and off the mat. And I will be happy to send you any and all of their Instagrams. You should definitely follow them as well if you're interested in yoga nerdery. I have been practicing yoga off and on for almost 20 years, which is wild, since my mom actually first dragged me to a yoga class with her when I was like 12 or 13. And I used it as a way to exercise. I loved it because it's non-competitive. There's lots of yoga practice and no yoga game or tournament. It's always just practice. And I got really serious about my practice maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and really started to see it as more than just physical movement. I decided to dive in, and I found teachers who supported that. And yeah, like yoga is much larger than just what we do on the mat. So that I have, as Lindsay just said, I have my 200-hour vinyasa yoga certification. I also have my yin yoga certification. I have training in teaching larger bodied folks. And I also have training in modifying classes for people who are pregnant. And I've been teaching for about 1.5 years, the past 9 months, on Zoom, which has been a whole other kettle of fish. So I'll be speaking this evening from my own lived experience as a yoga teacher who instructs body neutral, alignment-based yoga from as trauma-informed a lens as possible. I think we have to be really important to use these words as closely as we actually need them. As well as a white, queer, cisgender woman living in the United States. I trust you all to know your own experiences, where they line up with mine and where they differ. Nothing about what I'm going to be saying this evening is meant to be prescriptive or judgmental, simply what these concepts mean to me in my practice and in my life. Yoga has many lessons for us, and I consider myself really lucky to be forever a student, learning as I go and learning as I grow. I'm scrolling on my laptop. That's what I'm doing. I'm not just like petting a cat that's just out of reach. parts of this talk might be uncomfortable, but yoga asks us to sit with our discomfort and to feel how it feels to be uncomfortable. That's why we twist ourselves into uncomfortable shapes, because what does it feel like to be uncomfortable? What happens in your brain and your body and your breath? To practice showing up as our most authentic selves and continue to do better. I encourage you to ask questions, because this practice is best as a conversation rather than a lecture. I'll be happy to talk more with anybody here, whoever wants to talk more. I don't know. I know we only have a precious hour here tonight, so I'm always down to talk yoga, social justice, nerdery, or just catch up. So all that preamble, what is yoga? The Sanskrit word yoga comes from this word yuj, which is literally the thing that connects the oxen to the cart. Like the thing that when you talk about yoking an oxen onto a cart, yuj, that's the thing. It's the joinery. Yoga means union. Literally bringing together, union with each other, the union of our physical selves and our spiritual selves. It's not meant to separate us. It's meant to bring us closer together and closer to our higher possible selves. Where I think it was Ram Dass who says, we're all just walking each other home. And yoga is one way that we can really just walk each other home together. So in my yoga lineage, the 8-limbed path of yoga is as follows. Very quickly, here comes a bunch of Sanskrit. I'm going to be using the Sanskrit because I think it is very important to use these words that we were given. My pronunciation is a work in progress, so please bear with me. I'll also be translating as I go because I don't have subtitles. Yama, restraints. Niyama, observances. Asana, postures. Pranayama, breathing. Pratyahara, withdrawal of senses. Dharana, focused concentration. Dhyana, meditative focus, quiet mind. And samadhi, or bliss and enlightenment. So those last 4 are mostly talking about meditation, and I'm not a meditation teacher for a reason. So we won't be talking much about them. I'm not very good at it. I'm still learning so much. Oh, meditation is hard. So we'll be talking about those. We're going to focus on the first 4. You'll notice that the physical yoga practice, asana, doesn't show up until the 3rd item. Originally, these physical practices were just meant to prepare us for our comfortable meditation seat. Asana means seat. So all of our physical yoga is a preparation to sit with ourselves, not to get a yoga butt or yoga arms or yoga body. Spoiler alert, you have a yoga body and you're using it to do yoga right now. Wild. So let's talk about the restraints and the observances, the yama and the niyama, the 10 commandments of yoga, quote unquote. The yamas are about how you treat others. The niyamas are about how you treat yourself. I think there's a lot of crossover, treat others how you want to be treated, that kind of thing. So they're applicable in lots of ways. So I'm going to run through them now and how they inform my everyday life. And that's going to be the bulk of my talk. And then we're going to rest. So starting with the yamas, the first is ahimsa, non-violence. So this one's pretty straightforward, like don't hurt other people, right? But I like the translation of anti-violence, which makes this more active. Not just how can you not hurt people, but how can you work to make the world less hurtful for others? So to me, ahimsa is anti-violence, anti-racism, anti-sexism, anti-homophobia, anti-transphobia, and so on, etc. To practice ahimsa, we need to confront these violences when they show up in our lives, as well as when they show up in ourselves, in our biases, which can be really hard to look at, to face those truths about ourselves. So leads me to the second one, satya, truthfulness. Tell the truth. Seek the truth. Ask questions. Cite your sources. Seek out reputable news. Demand the truth from authority figures, from political figures. The truth has meaning. We've known this literally forever. It has not changed whatsoever. Things are true, right? So asteya, non-stealing. Obviously, you do not take what's not yours physically, but also find the places in which you're taking up space, time, energy from other people. Are your social circles majority made up of people who look like you and share your background? Can you seek out other perspectives and respectfully learn from those other people? And can you signal boost the voices of those people and maybe think about ways in which maybe you're stealing a little bit of the air in the room and let those other voices be heard as well. Brahmacharya, right use of energy. Notice where you're sending your energy and your resources. Can you direct your time, your energy, your money away from places that like suck up your time and like suck up your soul, like fighting with strangers on Twitter or buying really stupid stuff on the internet. And this is all at me. This is me like subtweeting myself, I promise, not anybody else. And instead put it more towards places that feed your soul, like donating to mutual aid organizations and charities, supporting friends' businesses, simply resting to restore your own energy. Aparigraha, non-greed or non-hoarding. So don't be greedy, don't hoard stuff like toilet paper, like don't take what you don't need, but also be generous with your time, with your spirit, with your love, with your energy, especially with those less fortunate than you. Also, like, can you live with less waste of resources, including being more environmentally conscious? All right, that was the yamas. We're halfway there, we're halfway home. Do we have any questions popping up? I'm gonna scan through. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Cool. The niyamas are up next. These are the personal practices, like I said, although I think there's a lot of crossover, obviously. The first is saucha, cleanliness. Being clean is important, and it's more than washing your hands. Are your habits, your bad habits weighing you down? Are they making you feel supported, or are they making you feel run down? Are you carrying negativity with you? Can you release your ideas about how things should be to face how they actually are? Growth cannot begin until you acknowledge where you are, like with a clean slate. Santosha, contentment. I think this is one that like comes up for me a lot when I'm like on my social media scroll. It's being about content with what you have, trying not to compare yourself to others or comparing yourself to yourself, like what you once could do or looked like or had, or what you hope to be someday. It's good to have goals, but you don't need to like already compare yourself to that future version because you're not there yet. You can be content with what you have as well as like wanting to improve and be better. Comparison is a thief of joy. So delight in what you have, delight in sharing it with others, whether that's talents, money, practices, your smile, your energy, whatever that is for you. Tapas, not just delicious small plates. Discipline, be disciplined in your practices. Hold yourself to the standards that you have for others. Similarly, be disciplined with treating yourself with kindness and rest and empathy, balance in all things. You can't pour from an empty cup. So be disciplined in filling your own cup up. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is community care. You cannot care for other people unless you have cared for yourself in whatever way that makes sense for you. Swajaya, self-study or self-directed study. We must study ourselves and learn about ourselves to notice how we are so that we can know how we want to be different, how we want to show up for others, for ourselves. And again, in order to be different, whether that means changing something about your life in a big way, or just like changing how you're sitting and breathing and moving for an hour, like in a yoga class, in order to do that change, you have to know what's going on with you in that moment. You have to know how you are right now. I also love that this becomes active as well with self-directed study. So like we have to take responsibility. We have to direct our own study. I read this once, it's probably on Instagram, I read it, but like where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you can think about what you want to be, then you're directing your energy there. And take responsibility for how much we all have to learn. And we all have a lot to learn because we're all human. We're all imperfect. It's very pranihariha. This one is hard to say. Surrender to a higher power. So to me, this means being mindful of the things you can control and the things you can't. When we grip too hard to the idea of the way things should be, we rob ourselves of experiencing the present moment exactly how it is. By practicing surrender, we can become more in tune with things as they are. We don't have to hold everything all the time. We can acknowledge that we are human, we're fallible, we are in need of help for others, we're in need of rest. Surrender means asking for help. It means seeking time to rest and replenish ourselves, our bodies, our minds. Our world tells us to scroll more, do more, hustle more, never stop, never give up, never surrender. But in actuality, living that way leaves us exhausted physically, mentally, spiritually. Surrender is a big part of my restorative yoga practice. So it's actually a great place for us now to move towards our movement practice. That was it. Those are the yamas and the niyamas. We did it. We did it together. So we're going to move towards a restorative practice. I'm going to ask you to find a comfortable seat. Everything that we're going to do tonight can be done sitting in a chair, or you can move to the floor. I'm going to demo everything both ways. Having a couple of pillows handy. They can be couch pillows, they can be bed pillows, they can be a balled up sweatshirt, maybe a blanket, something cozy might feel nice. Tonight's exercises are safe for people who are pregnant. Just be mindful of any of your own injuries, sorenesses, stiffnesses that you're having. I'll give as many options as I can, but if I ever say something that doesn't feel like it's going to work for you, you don't have to do it, of course. I trust you and I trust your physical experience of yourself. And if you want to do something else that's going to sound like it's going to feel really great, then I love that for you, and please do that. So we're going to start in a comfortable seat. So find your way to whatever that means to you, in a chair, on a floor, on a cushion, whatever feels best. I'm going to angle my camera slightly away from my Christmas tree and slightly more towards my yoga mat. So whether you're sitting on the floor or sitting in a chair, and yoga is not a parking garage, nothing's going to shred your tires if you move in another direction. Feel free always to see how it feels. Wherever you please, find a long spine. Stacking the crown of the head over the shoulders over the heart over the guts over the hips, leaning the throat back, melting the shoulders away from the ears, making a little bit of space between the upper and lower teeth. Maybe the upper and lower eyelids like to get a little heavy towards each other, maybe the eyes even close. If for this part of the practice, part of our time together, you would like to turn your camera off, please feel free. If not, know that you're safe here. Begin to focus on your breath, your inhale and exhale. It's just your natural rhythm, not my voice. As you breathe in, maybe you feel the taste, the texture, the temperature of that breath. As you sigh it out of nose or mouth, whatever feels best to you, feel how maybe that taste, texture, temperature has shifted. The things that you do really matter. They matter to you, they matter to people around you, they matter to your environment. We're going to sit and breathe just like this together, creating this community for, let's say, 5 more breaths. As you focus on your breath here, you might begin to notice that without even you trying, your breath starts to get a little longer, maybe a little deeper, maybe a little smoother. Soft sighs are always welcome here. And as you perhaps notice that that breath is lengthening, smoothening, deepening, like it was waiting for you to notice it. On your next breath in, really feel how the rib cage opens up, how the whole front line of the body swells, how you are breathing in 3 dimensions. On your next exhale, feel yourself sink, even like a whisper of a millimeter, into your seat. Inhaling, feeling your spine get long, crown of the head is reaching up away from the ground. Exhale, everything just sinks a little bit. Last 2 breaths here on your own, your rhythm. Inhaling and exhaling. 1 big inhale. Outhale, softly sigh it away. We're gonna spend some time rolling out the neck, because I don't know about you, but I do too much of this and too much of this. And so everything here is all rounded in. So we're just gonna stretch that out a little bit. So just let your chin fall to your chest. And don't ever worry too much about whether what you're doing is exactly what I'm doing, or whether you're moving with the breath. If I say inhale and you're breathing out, that's okay. You're not in trouble, I promise. Just let the chin fall to the chest. Keep the chest lifting a little bit so the whole upper body isn't rounding. We're just letting the back of the neck round as the chin falls to the chest. And then, like, you could scrape your chin against your collarbone. Start to move your Chin over to the right. Lifting up right at the end so that you're looking towards the right, just as far as feels okay on your neck. Take an inhale. Take an outhale. We're going to take it back in the second direction. Scraping the chin against the collarbone through center. Second side, start to scrape it over to the left. Chin and chest don't actually have to touch here. They're just intending towards each other, and find yourself looking at the left. After a round of breath, take yourself back through center. We're going to do this 3 or 4 more times. So just move at your pace. If you find a place that feels really like good or sticky or crunchy or yummy, whatever adjective of your choice, someplace that you want to stay there. And even if it's like a weird little in-between moment. Keep both shoulders sliding away from the ears, even as the chin moves back and forth. And think about sliding your shoulder blades a little closer together on the back body, like you're presenting your heart forward. Proud heart, even as you humble the chin. Just moving your own way, feeling what you feel. Our bodies are all so different. We're made differently. We use our bodies differently. We have different goals when we come to a class like this. So whatever brought you here tonight, honor that. Move that way. Whatever your body is desiring right now, use it as an opportunity to really tune in. The next time the chin comes through center, pause there, feeling both sides of the neck. On the inhale, lift up through center. Just wiggle it out, shake it out. Anything that feels weird, let it go. Sometimes it feels a little weird after you move in one way to stop moving. So shake, rattle, roll. We're going to stretch out the wrists a little bit, especially for people who do any kind of movement practices where you're weight bearing on your hands. So if you're ever doing push-ups, if you have an active yoga practice, we spend a lot of time with our wrists in flexion. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take our wrists into extension. So just hold out one hand. We're going to do both sides. It really doesn't matter. Hold out one hand, like Charmed, I'm sure, with your like rings pointing up. So good. And then with the opposite hand, just hold onto your hand and gently pull down just so you start to feel a stretch coming across the top of the wrist up into the forearm. If you're on the floor, you can do this weight bearing. You can bring the back of the hands to press against the mat and lean back. I like doing one at a time because then it gives me an opportunity to really slow down and feel the different sides of my body. So whether you're sitting up or on the floor, take another breath in. Take another breath out and let it go. Take it out. Same wrist before we switch sides. Grab the wrist and give yourself a little bit of traction, like really like squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then open your hand, squeeze your hand closed into a fist, open your hand, squeeze your hand closed. Feel all those weird little muscles and bones in your wrist. Our wrists are so weird. Our bodies are so weird and wonderful, and they're so connected. Everything we do matters to all the little parts of us, which is a good thing, not a scary thing. And then maybe roll the wrist in one direction. Keep squeezing with the other hand. Roll it in the other direction. Maybe one more each way. If you want to go back to opening and closing, whatever feels good. Give yourself another breath. Breathe out, let it go, let it go. We're going to do all that second side. Second hand, Charmed, I'm sure. Hold with your opposite hand and gently pull back. So it's like you're pressing your wrist away from you and you're pulling your fingers back towards you. You know what you need. You can feel it. You have the real-time feedback of your body. And you'll get to learn something a little bit about your range of motion. But let's always endeavor to move in a pain-free range of motion. So sensation and pain are very different. Sensation might feel like a deep, yearning, aching stretch, maybe even a tingling. Pain feels like ouch, 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 ouch. So if it hurts, don't do it. You can always do something else. Or you can just give yourself a break and do a little bit less of whatever it is you're doing. Take another breath in. Another breath out. Let it go. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. And then we're going to do that little traction-y squeezy thing again. So same wrist that was just stretched forward. Hold it with your opposite hand. Give yourself a little squeeze. Open, close, open, close. You might play with like really squeezing tight and then really like opening your hand really wide, really like flaring the fingers. You might be more chill about it. You might be somewhere in between. You're in charge. You're the boss. I say maybe a lot when I teach. That's not because I don't know what I want you to do. It's because I want you to know that what you might be feeling might be really different than what I'm feeling. And so there's lots of in-between places. We can move differently and we can still move together. Maybe you'd like to roll the wrist out one way. I really like that. It feels like crunchy in a good way, like peanut butter. Not crunchy in a bad way, like ouch. Roll it out both ways. Big inhale. Exhale, breathing the whole time. If you're not breathing, it's not yoga, which is fine. But like you're here to do yoga. So like, let's keep breathing. Big inhale. Exhale, let it go, shake, shake, shake. If you are sitting on the floor and you're sitting with your legs crossed, go ahead and switch the cross of the legs for me. So now I might feel like the funny leg is in front. And all we're doing for that is just noticing our tendencies and seeing what happens when we like counter them, when we meet ourselves where we are. We're going to take one more little neck stretch. So we spent a lot of time focusing on the hands. Let's take a moment to reestablish our long spine. Feel yourself grow tall, stacking over yourself like Legos. Like the spine is just a really strong tower of Legos. And let's take the left hand and make a Spock hand. You can use your hands to do so if you need to. And it doesn't have to be a Spock hand. You can do this or you can do that. It's fine. I just like the Spock hand. And you're going to take that V of your fingers and you're going to slide it right over your right ear. If it doesn't come all the way down to your ear, that's fine. You can just bring it to the side of the head. And you're not going to pull. There's just some gentle weight in the head to start to encourage the left ear towards the left shoulder. As you do that, don't bring your right shoulder with you. Right shoulder stays down and on the back of the body. And already, this is a lot for me. But as we stay here and we'll sit here and we'll breathe here for a little longer, you might begin to find that you have a little bit more room to move into. And what I mean when I say that is a lot of things. Like physically, obviously, over time, perhaps you will stretch a little more and perhaps there will be some physical space for you to move into. But that's not the only place that we find depth in yoga practice. We can also find depth in the quality of our breath, keeping it long, smooth, strong, consistent, even when movement or stillness starts to get uncomfortable. We can also find depth in the quality of our thoughts, in the way that we are able to keep speaking to ourselves sweetly, kindly, with empathy, even when things get uncomfortable, maybe especially when things get uncomfortable. Let's take 3 more breaths here. You can take them exactly as you are in stillness, or if you'd like to add in a little bit of pulsation, the Sanskrit word we use is spanda. Maybe on your next breath in, you let your nose start to tip up towards the ceiling. Oof. Just as okay. It just feels okay. That was a good oof. Only if it's a good oof. On your breath out, maybe you let the nose start to trail down towards your lap, maybe down towards the floor. Aha. Just feeling what's there. And you can keep going back and forth as slowly as you'd like, or you can stay in stillness. Honor what it is that you need right now, whatever it is that you need tonight. You have 2 more breaths to do exactly what it is you need. Take another big breath in. Exhale, sigh it away. Bring the nose through center if it's drifted away. Inhale, lift the head through center. Remove the hands. Hands come down to rest the lap or on the floor. Shake the head, yes. Nod it, no. Shrug the shoulders, maybe so. Wiggle the jaw around. Make it real weird. Notice where you hold tension. Can you feel it already? I hold tension in my jaw. I hold it in the base of my spine. I hold it in my calf muscles, weirdly. You get to notice this weird stuff about yourself when you start noticing and you realize that your body has this whole other language it's been speaking to you in. I'm like, what a privilege to learn that language. Let's take a second side. Enough of my pathologizing. Spock hand with your other hand, whatever hand did. I think we did left hand first, so let's take our right hand and bring that Spock hand right around the left ear and start to encourage the right ear towards the right shoulder, bringing a stretch into the left side of the neck. Left shoulder stays down and away. Shoulders moving together on the back of the body. Spine stays long. And just breathing here and just noticing, resisting the urge to criticize. I like the visualization of a radio dial. I use it a lot when I'm teaching. Like literally picture yourself turning down the radio away from the station of the little voice that's telling you all the stuff that you have to do later tonight and all the stuff that you have to do tomorrow and all the stuff that you could be doing instead of stretching. Like, turn that voice down. It's fine. It'll be there in an hour. It's fine. It'll all be there. And like, picture yourself twiddling through the radio dial. Like you could come to a station to a different voice, to a voice that's just noticing, just lovingly noticing. Noticing how this side feels different or similar to the first side. The voice that's noticing whether your thoughts have trailed away, whether you can feel your feet on the floor, whether if you start to feel a little bit cold, that's okay. Just breathing here. Just breathing and noticing, noticing and breathing. In the Yin Yoga practice, we have two goals. The first is to find the shape, whatever version works for us today, using any props or variations that we might need. Second goal is to stay, to sit with what comes, to sit with ourselves. You have 3 more breaths. You can stay in stillness, and maybe you'd like to check out that little pulsation, spanda moment second side. Perhaps your inhale leads your nose to tip a little or a lot, doesn't really matter, up towards the ceiling. Maybe your exhale tips the nose down towards your lap or the floor, little or a lot, doesn't matter to me. 2 more rounds on your own. Big inhale. Big outhale. Inhaling. Outhale, let the nose come through center. Lift the head through center. Release the hands. Wiggle. Shake the head, yes. Nod it, no. Shrug the shoulders, maybe so. Move the jaw. Sometimes it feels really good to like turn the muscles on after being still. So if that's you, anything to turn the muscles on, maybe just like tensing up and releasing might feel good. The next thing we're going to do is cat-cow, which we can absolutely do from a sitting place, or you can bring yourself to hands and knees. I'm going to do hands and knees first. So sitting tall people, continue to sit tall. I will be with you in just a moment. You can bring yourself to hands and knees. Patting up under the knees, always nice, especially if you're on a hardwood floor. Bring the hands outer shoulders distance apart, so you've got a lot of space. And then walk your knees back a little bit further so that they're even behind the hips. Crown of the head grows tall. Little bend in the elbows. Inhale, drop the belly down. Lift the gaze, lift the tailbone for cow. Exhale, press down into the hands. Curl the back of the heart towards the ceiling for cat. You'll keep moving just like that. If you're sitting up, it's the same motion except hands come to knees or thighs. Press down into the knees or thighs to inhale to lift the heart up, lift the gaze up, shoulders on the back of the body, elbows bend. Exhale, press down even more into the knees as you round the back. Arms come a little straighter. And you have some time to move here. Move to your degree. Maybe you'd like to roll the ribs around. You can do this on hands and knees, or you can do it sitting up. Maybe you'd like to bring one shoulder and one hip a little closer, finding a little C shape with the side body. Do whatever feels natural, organic. Move like you. Yeah, I see so many beautiful variations. I see a lot of people moving how they want to move. This is the most movement that we will have tonight. Yin yoga doesn't work our muscles. It works the other stuff. It works the stuff that holds muscles to bones and bones to bones, our fascia. When we don't work out our muscles, they get softer. Not a value judgment, just a thing that's true. When we don't work out our fascia, it gets tight. So you get more tightness in the joints, in the places where the bones and muscles meet. And so by exercising in this way, these longer holds, we're creating more space in our joints. We're creating more range of movement for ourselves. So just like sunrise and sunset and hot and cold and on and off are defined in their relationship to each other, so too is yin yoga and yang yoga, or vinyasa or ashtanga or bikram or whatever kind of yoga that is much more active. So too are they two sides of the same coin. They complement each other. One's not better, one's not worse. When practiced together, perhaps they make a fuller picture. You have another breath, stillness or movement. Exhale, bring yourself to center. And if you're on hands and knees, walk your hands back so that you're sitting and bring your legs out in front of you. We're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. This time I'm going to demo sitting in chair first. Bring your knees wide. And you can keep your feet underneath your knees. You can walk them out a little bit. You don't have to worry about like flexing the feet or anything. That's fine. You can sit yourself as far forward in your chair, as far back in your chair as feels okay. And then you'll start to bring your elbows down onto your thighs. Keep your spine long. And you're just leaning forward. Another way to do this might be to literally sit like a really cool teacher and scoot yourself back. And maybe you'll make a pillow with your hands for your forehead and lean down. You don't have to move very far. For my friends on the floor, legs are wide, big V. Let the feet go, let them flop in or out. Don't worry about engagement. You'll notice something about whether your legs are internally or externally rotated naturally. Mine are quite internally rotated. I walk with my feet turned in, so my toes want to turn in. Long spine, and same thing. Just walk the hands forward. You can use pillows or blankets. If you have a chair nearby, you can be like the coolest teacher of all down here on the floor. And maybe your elbows, maybe you rest your chin in your hands or your forehead comes all the way down. Come to a place where you can comfortably breathe for, let's say, 3 minutes, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually only going to be like 8 breaths. And remembering that if you're sitting quite tall, that even just sitting with legs extended is a level 1 forward bend. So you're already folding forward. By spreading the legs, we're making a lot of space for the front body. My friends who also have bellies like I do, who are well endowed like I am, making a lot of space in the front body is nice. You can always move the parts of your body around to suit you. There's It's not that there's no rules. Like some things, you know, you should be careful not to hurt yourself. But more importantly, more important than the rules than any movement instructor will ever give you are the rules that you know by living in your body. You know how you feel better than anyone else. You have the advanced degree in you. What looks like, what feels like effort to me might be ease to you, and vice versa. And here we are simply in search of a greater sense of ease. So whether that means you'd like to sit straight up for these last 3 breaths, or whether it means you'd like to fold a little bit more deeply forward. If you have the availability, hands can always trail towards the floor. By bending the legs, we don't need to use our hamstring availability to get to the floor here, which is great because I have very limited hamstring availability. Perhaps you have more. We have different bodies. Yin Yoga is founded on this belief in anatomical uniqueness, the belief that our bodies are different and that therefore we might need different versions of these postures to get what we're going for, which is like, sounds so basic, but the first time I heard it, it damn near blew my mind. Of course. Take what you need. You have 2 more breaths. Inhale. Out, exhale. Big breath in. Big breath out. Come all the way up to sit. And for these next few shapes, we're going to either take them sitting exactly as we are, or I'll invite you to come and lay down onto your back. They're going to look quite similar. If you're laying on your back, bend both knees, plant both feet. Make sure your head didn't totally go off camera. Aha. Pick up the right foot. If you're sitting, pick up the right foot and cross it over the left knee. Like a grandpa reading the newspaper is what I think of when I think of this bigger forehead. Or like someone who's just like shaking the newspaper out, sitting with this crossed leg. If the leg doesn't want to cross, it's okay. You can also cross it in front. If you're sitting and the foot doesn't want to come all the way out, that's okay. You can cross it in front. If you have another chair or a bench or a piece of furniture nearby that's a little bit lower, you can bring the foot onto that. Your options truly are limitless. If you have like an ottoman or a coffee table, you can bring your leg there. If your leg is in your lap, find your tall spine and just breathe. If you're laying on the floor, same thing. Feel both shoulder blades on the earth and just breathe. You can use your right hand, whether you're sitting or on the floor, and you can gently resist that thigh away. That'll bring more sensation into the hip. If you'd like a little less sensation in the hip, you can also just walk the left foot forward so that the left knee isn't as high. And then the foot can travel anywhere along the leg. And wherever you are, just breathe. We can move differently and still move together. As we move more towards these longer holds, you might begin to notice that your body, your extremities get a little cold. It's going to depend on the temperature of the room you're in, of course. It's going to depend on whether you personally run a little hot or a little cold. If you do feel a little bit cold, then it might be some of the magic of Yin Yoga. If you don't, it's okay. You're still magical too, I promise. But our bodies are in this nervous system stage of like fight, flight, freeze, right? And our body is spending this energy to like keep our muscles like tense and warm in case we gotta run away from like a tiger or something. Yin Yoga stimulates the other part of the brain, the other part of the nervous system, and brings us out of flight, fight, freeze, and more towards rest and digest. So your body starts to spend a little bit more energy on healing, on digesting whatever it is you have for dinner, on preparing for sleep. And by doing that, it starts to get a little bit cooler, a little bit colder around the extremities, especially. Back in the good old days when I could go to a yoga studio, I loved practicing yin yoga with like really thick socks and a really big hoodie, like even in like June. Not like, my studio is not air conditioned, so like not in like July or August, but like in June. And you get those little cool feelings around the fingers and toes. And it feels really good to put socks on. It feels really good to like snuggle under a blanket. If you run quite warm naturally, or if the room you're in is quite warm, that's okay. The same magic is happening. It might be different for you. It might feel like smoother breath. It might feel like shoulders resting away from ears, or eyebrows smoothing out on the forehead. Let's take one more big breath together. Inhale. Exhale, uncross the leg from wherever it's gone. Feel both feet on the floor. Maybe you'd like to sway your knees side to side, whether you're sitting up or laying down. And then very simply, second side. Cross left ankle over right knee. You can use your hands so you don't get extra credit. My wonderful teacher, Corina Benner, who trained me in Yin Yoga, liked to say, like full splits are not the equal shot at enlightenment. So here too, you can get your ankle all the way up towards your hip crease. You can lengthen the right leg long, and you can let the ankle kind of slide down. Equal shot at enlightenment, equal shot at samadhi. If you're on the floor, maybe you'd like to use that left palm to gently resist that left thigh away. You can do this sitting up too. Maybe you'd like to walk that right heel a little bit further away from you so that the whole shape is a little further away from your chest. Find whatever place feels like an okay place to spend the next 3 minutes. One thing I love about the Yin Yoga practice is that the poses are largely the same from week to week. I try to like keep it fresh for my students, but it's a lot of same. It's a lot of coming back to the same thing over and over again. A lot of yoga is like that. The poses are the same, and you are the thing that changes. Your breath, your thoughts, maybe your body, maybe not. Who cares? It's okay if you care. I don't care if your body changes or not. We are connected to our bodies in a lot of different ways, and they're connected to, it's connected to itself in a whole lot of ways. One model that I love for understanding our connection to our physical form is the Sheath Model, or the Kosha model. My sister-in-law is here tonight, and I was talking with her about this recently. There are different sheaths that our bodies, like a knife in a sheath. And so like we are at the center, and then coming outward from there is like, maybe like it's like our spiritual self, and then like our emotional self and our mental self, moving outward until the outward sheath, the outward kosha, is the physical body. And that's part of us, but it's not the only part of us. And so we have all these other things inside. And what's at the very center, connected to this idea of samadhi, of enlightenment, is the bliss body, Anandanaya Kosha. And it sounds like a really lofty goal, right? Like bliss body. And I read something once that said that it's actually pretty easy to find people who are living in their bliss bodies, If you ever get the opportunity to see people performing live dance, or athletes who are performing at the top of their career, or musicians playing music, or kids playing in dirt, that's bliss body. Anandanaya Kosha, when I get to see my niece giggle and laugh, and she just like rolls onto her belly and then rolls back onto her back. Like she's in her bliss body. She's Anandanaya Kosha. She is a totally united being. And it's beautiful. And so all we were doing here is just trying to get back to the joy of rolling around in dirt. And when I remember that, it makes it like not all so serious. 2 more breaths, wherever you are, big breath in. Full breath out. Big inhale. Outhale, gently bring both feet back to the floor. I'm going to take one more asymmetrical pose, so one more left side, right side, and then we're going to chill out for real for a few minutes of Savasana. We're going to take a really gentle twist. My people who are sitting up, if you have a chair that has like arms, you're just going to just gently turn towards, let me do some math in my head really quickly. Yes, you're going to turn very gently towards the right. So this is if your chair has arms. If your chair has arms, you're going to turn gently towards the right so you can lay one or both hands. Just gently. If you don't want to twist very deeply for any reason, like you had a really big dinner or you're carrying a person inside of you, it can always be a smaller amount of twist. You can just rest both hands on the thigh of the direction you're turning into. If your chair doesn't have a back, you can go ahead and sit side saddle, like second coolest teacher, and then turn towards the back of the chair. And again, that can be to your degree. If you're laying on the floor and you have both feet planted, scoot your hips a little bit to the right and let both knees fall to the left. Hands can rest on the body. They can be a T or a cactus. Back of the head is on the earth. And if you're sitting up, you're facing in the direction that you're turning. So your eyes are following wherever it is that you're turning. We're not going to be here too much longer. Just another 2 breaths. Take a big inhale and a big outhale. One thing you learn about yoga teachers very quickly is none of us know how to count. 1 breath in. Full breath out for real. Back through center. Feel what you feel. Wiggle it out side to side. If you're laying on the floor, maybe you let your knees shift from side to side. You can do that if you're sitting too. Feels nice. Very simply, second side. Choose your choice. Perhaps you just turn gently to the left. Maybe you bring your knees all the way to the left and turn your hands to the back of the chair. Or if you're laying on the floor, hips move a little bit to the left, knees fall to the right. Twists. Again, they trigger that nervous system response for calming. They're a good way to resettle the spine after those gentle back bends and forward bends we took. They don't really do much cleansing. We have kidneys and a liver for that, but they feel really nice for a lot of people. They feel nice to me. I hope that they bring some restfulness to your spine. Just one more breath in. Full breath out. Back to center. And just like that, we are at our final shape. Our peak pose. It's another thing I love about restorative yoga. The peak pose is always the same. It's always Shavasana. Bring yourself to a comfortable place, whether that means sitting up, whether that means laying out fully. You can use any pillows or blankets you've brought to make yourself more comfortable, or you can simply take a meditation seat. That might mean feet walk out. That might mean just sitting tall. Hands rest on the body. Palms face down is like grounding energy. Palms face up is receptive energy, which is like maybe like the most woo-woo thing that I teach, but I feel a difference. This and this, I feel a really big difference. Maybe you won't, maybe you will. It's okay, either way, it's fine. Do what feels comfortable. Whether you're laying down or whether you're sitting up. Take a moment to scan through the body. Find any places where you feel gripping and release. The feet, the ankles, the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, the fronts of the legs, the knees, the quads, hip flexors, glutes, low back long and lengthy, whole length of the spine, resting gently. Shoulders soft in their sockets, upper arm, inner elbows soft, whole forearm soft. Fingertips curl up naturally into the palms, backs of the hands resting either up or down. Front of the throat soft, back of the neck long. Jaw soft, space between upper and lower teeth, tongue away from the roof of the mouth, eyes soft in their sockets, tip of the nose, cheekbones soft. Forehead so smooth the eyebrows can melt right into the ears. So soft, so smooth. Crown of the head all the way down to the soles of the feet at rest. And breathe. As you rest here for a moment longer, I'd like to read you something. Feel free to tune me in and listen, or tune me out and rest. This is called Don't Hesitate by Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise, and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Receive a longer breath and sigh it all out. Make any small movements in fingers, toes, ankles, wrists, shoulders, neck, face to bring life back to the body. Let breath lead you home, like coming home and turning on all the lights. If you're laying on your back, maybe a big stretch overhead, maybe bending one knee and the other, planting the feet, roll over onto your side. So I'll pause in stillness for one moment longer, thanking body for carrying us through these shapes, thanking breath for carrying us through our bodies. If you're lying down, press through strong arms, come up to a comfortable seat, whatever that means to you. We'll all meet in that seat, reestablishing a long spine as we get there. Crown of the head over the shoulders, shoulders over the heart, heart over the guts, guts over the hips, lean back, throat back, ears back. Bring your hands in front of your heart in any gesture that speaks to you of gratitude. Bow chin to chest. Thank yourself for all of the efforts you made here on your mat this evening, all the efforts you made to get on your mat this evening. Sending that same wave of gratitude to all your fellow yogis for their time and attention. As you bow to yourselves, please know that it is to you that I humbly bow. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve you and be in community with you this evening. It is my pleasure, my privilege, my absolute joy. To you, I bow. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was awesome. I feel like I'm ready to go to bed now.
It worked. I love Yin before bed, but I think there's like never a bad time to do yin yoga. I, with my sister-in-law, once went to a yin yoga class at 10:30 in the morning at the beach, and it was a great day.
Does anybody have any questions for Claire?
Not a question, but, you know, I'm somebody who's overweight. I've always kind of been overweight, and I've had so many trainers, coaches, even doctors, kind of discount yoga when I've mentioned it as something I should try. And they say, no, you need something, you know, high fat burning cardio, whatever. But, you know, this has just proven that, you know, fitness is not just weight loss. It's also, you know, so much more to wellness and overall health. And, you know, even, you know, I've been doing high intensity stuff, and I already have, you know, a bad knee and a wonky hip and aches and pains. So even, you know, how you were explaining how this can strengthen the fascia as well would support all of that. So,
Yeah.
you know, this has just been extremely beneficial to me. And I'm like, you know what? I know I could do this and it would be helpful for me. So this was awesome.
Yeah, yoga is for everybody who wants to do yoga. And if people tell you, if you go to a class, people tell you they don't know what to do with you, then they're a bad teacher. And I'm sorry, but they are. That's my hot take, is they're a bad teacher and they need more training. And the training is out there, so they can find it. So not only are they bad, they're also lazy. Hot take, I'm sorry.
May I ask about tapas? Is it spelled like Spanish tapas?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Is that Sanskrit?
Yeah.
Okay, I asked because I very much want to look it up, because I've never heard discipline as a concept used the way you described it, in terms of like giving kindness to oneself. And it's just a lovely idea for that to be a discipline.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely something that I've learned through my teachers, specifically my yin teachers, Corina Benner, Lindsay Gitlitz, Colleen Kropp. I'm just gonna drop their names. My teaching is purely like a knit together blanket of the beautiful, beautiful teachers that I've had. What are we all but like patchwork quilts of the people we've met, right? And I love that idea as well. This idea that discipline is not just how much can you push yourself. Discipline can also be about how can I treat myself? How can I treat myself with the same kindness and that I want to offer to others? How can I teach myself to be kind to others by being kind to myself first? I think that is a really lovely way to describe discipline as well. So I agree with you.
Thank you. Okay, cool.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Claire, I just wanted to say that I think when people think of exercise, you know, there's like, if they don't get a full body sweat or whatever, it's not exercise, but it's so important to know how to do this. And like, we just as humans sometimes don't even know how to slow down. So it's so incredibly like, you know, the people that can, you know, that exercise that, you know, have to get this in, and it's like, I don't know. And then people that don't stretch beforehand or afterwards, I'm like, they're just missing out on so much more of that. Yeah. So I found it out the hard way, because I was one of those people, and then I had back surgery and realized that it's not, you know, weekend warriors is not a good thing to be sometimes. So thank you for everything you're doing. You obviously found a calling, and you are, you know, obviously a natural and such a giver. So, you know, any of your students will appreciate your teaching. So congratulations for finding this.
Thank you. That's extremely kind of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, it's a real mutual admiration society, everybody. I'm really proud of you all for being here. That's the hardest part. The hardest part is coming to class. Making time. The hardest part is making time.
Any last call for any questions or comments?
I will say that the easiest way to get in touch with me is probably Instagram, because I spend way too much time there. I'm at Claire Elise Yoga. I think it was tagged in the Alumnae Instagram post as well. If you ever want to talk about anything like this, I also teach every week online through Zoom through my studio, and there's sliding scale availability Just so it's like $5 a class if you ever want to come. It's Sunday night, which is like primo yin yoga time. But again, there's no bad time to do it. I'm also always available just to like hang out and run some yoga anytime. So happy to do it. It is my favorite thing to do.
Awesome. Well, Claire, thank you so much. Lindsay, of course, thank you for your work and planning and getting Claire to be here with us all.
She really had to twist my arm about it.
It seemed like it. I hope that everybody has a really relaxing and safe, healthy holiday, whatever you celebrate. And we'll hope to see you on the second Wednesday of January for the next chapel talk, the last Wednesday of January for book club, and happy birthday, Ariel.
Yes, thank you for reminding me, Gabby. Happy birthday, Ariel.
Have a
all the extra nice stuff I said was for you.
Oh, thanks.